welcome back to the Time Space Visualiser. It's that time of the week again where we're here talking to you all about Doctor Who. So we hope you're well. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Birthday boy.
Yeah, 25 now. Big old age.
Middle-aged. We've got a little present coming for you as well. It hasn't arrived this week because why would it? That would make my life easier. But
yeah, that would be ideal.
But however, it will be here for next week's video, and you're going to open it on camera.
Oh God!
And show all the lovely people at home what I've got you for your birthday.
I am terrified.
Anyway, before we get on to today's main topic, we're going to hop over to Tom for space-buns and tea.
Yeah, that's the new segment title now.
Yeah, if you've not seen Delta and the Bannermen, you won't get it, and if you have seen Delta and the Bannermen, well done. We're friends.
So, first one is from Right Turn Clyde. Says, The Pyramids of Mars is my favourite Who story ever. And season 13 is just the best season there has ever been, hands down. And he says that as a Pertwee man. I've
got to agree completely there. Season 13 of Classic Who is probably my personal favourite. I think every story in there isn't anything less than an 8 out of 10. Oh, definitely brilliant. Out of the classic series anyway, it's my favourite season.
No, it's a brilliant series. I really enjoy it.
There's not a bad story in there. It's some of the best. It's some of the iconic. You got like Seeds of Doom, Brain of Morbius, Terror of the Zygons.
Yeah.
To name a few. Well, half.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You do get a bit of Grumpy Baker though.
Yeah, but check out our review from last week if you want to know our full thoughts of it.
Yeah.
And you probably already have seen it, so, you know. We'll shut up.
So the next one from Odin One Eye, yet again, absolute legend.
Friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel.
Friend of us, really.
Yeah. Good friend
Matthew.
of us. Hi. So Odin One Eye says, what do you think about having age-specific spin-offs? For example, Sarah Jane being aimed at kids, Tortured being aimed more towards adults, especially that first season.
We don't
talk about that. Also, would you rather a spin-off use existing villains or come up with new ones? His spin-off idea would be a unit-focused show showing how unit deal with the alien threats themselves without the Doctor telling them what to do. And they could bring back other characters. This is all his words. Bring back other characters from unit, not just Kate Stewart, but Colonel Mace from the Sontaran Stratagem.
I'm sure John Levine would do it as well. Yeah, bring back Sergeant Benton.
Yes.
Age-specific spin-offs, I think, is quite an interesting idea because the ones we've had really have all been sort of had a very specific demographic at them. You know, like Matthew said, the Sarah Jane Adventures is aimed at children and Torture is aimed more at adults, and then you have Class, which is aimed at that sort of weird, like, late teen, early adult.
Yeah, a weird young age. Adult.
It's Patrick Ness. It's around the kind of, it's sort of aimed at the sort of people that would read his books. But I think it would work providing there's a good idea behind it. I think if you can find something and go, all right, we can do this for this audience, but I don't think you should have to drum up something. Say if we need a show Doctor Who related that fits, you know, teens, and then just come up with something a bit rubbish and a rip off above it. I think there needs to be a strong idea behind it. But yeah, I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, that could work quite well.
Solid idea for the spin-off as well.
It would be interesting. I would definitely tune in to watch that.
Anyway, today's main topic
is cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Best cliffhangers from classic and new Who.
Yeah, this is probably not going to be the only video we do on this because to pick one for each Doctor is quite hard.
Yeah, it was difficult for me.
I think we've left a few out that quite a lot of people would pick, and you know, the ones that people talk about a lot. But for mine especially, because we're going to go through and try and pick one for each Doctor, I've tried to pick one that I feel a bit underappreciated, mostly because I know he'd steal them anyway. So,
but then at the same time, these aren't personal like top 10. We might do a video on that. These are just 10 that are really good and stand out.
I think these are just 10 that I remember recently out of things I've either rewatched or that I sort of remember well. So
some of these are ones that stand out above the rest, but they're not the best ones that they could have, because some that haven't stood out have been better just because of the subtle nuances in it. Yeah,
and I think for this as well, we're not talking about the story. We're literally talking about the way that what the cliffhanger sets up and how it ends. We're not talking about whether the resolution, because I think some of the things we picked on this list, the resolution would take them down a bit.
Yeah,
it's that initial up there till the credits. That's what we're counting here.
Yeah.
So do you want to kick us off with your first Doctor pick?
Okay,
I find mine, because I definitely remember to memorize
one of us is really prepared here.
I'm prepared. I just haven't remembered them.
So my first one is the Daleks, the Dead Planet. So this is the first Doctor's first encounter. Well, the Doctor's first encounter with the Daleks.
Just saying.
Huh?
I found them.
You found them.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So mine's the. I hate you.
What? You put you off then? You could have carried on.
No. So my first one is for the Daleks, the Dead Planet from Series 1, of classic Who. Because it was series 1 of New Who, according to BBC, it fries my brain. I don't know why they didn't just carry on the numbers, but I'm digressing. So the Daleks is obviously featuring the Daleks for the very first time, and this is where, I forget her name, Barbara gets cornered by what we see to be a toilet plunger. And
it literally was.
It was a toilet plunger at the time because of budgets.
Held by them. Well, it's just because they couldn't get that shot, the POV shot, with an actual Dalek, because the cameras were, as big as this flat.
Yeah, no, that's
Which
fair.
isn't an exaggeration. I live in a cupboard.
But yeah, it's a nice introduction. You see Barbara absolutely terrified, trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And then it tails off, and I think this is one of the few where the resolution and everything doesn't drag it down.
No, because you're clearly there setting up something to be revealed, and the reveal is it's the Daleks, and you get the rest of the serial. But I think because you get that first episode that is just the 4 regulars exploring, and it sort of slowly builds that claustrophobic feel to it. The more Barbara gets lost, you can see her panicking a bit more. It gets a lot more tight, a lot more close, and then suddenly there's that snap, where she turns around, the camera's in a completely different position, and it just slowly goes towards her with the sink plunger. You see the look on her face, and she screams, and it fades to black.
Yeah.
It's a work of art, really.
It really is. It really is. And a testament to the ability at the time for...
Yeah, because it took quite an innovative bit of directing to be able to go, how do we get a POV shot from these really small models with our giant cameras? I know. Someone go get me a sink plunger, and that's what we'll see. And it works. It's you can't
really
fault
does work well.
So for my first Doctor pick, I chose episode 1 of the Sensorites, Strangers in Space, because no matter what you think of the Sensorites, you can't deny that the first episode is actually very good. And you get that a lot with a lot of 60s stories, especially the early Hartnell ones. You might have a subpar story, but the first episode's brilliant. Look at the Space Museum, Web Planet. A lot of that stuff has a very strong first episode, and this one is no exception. Because you get the Doctor and his companions landing on the ship, discovering the 2 crew members, and finding that there's a third one, who is set up to be a bit of, maybe potentially be the villain of the piece. They're stuck, they can't get back in the TARDIS, and then at the end, it all sort of goes silent. And there's that really long sweeping shot where the camera goes across everyone until it finally lands on Ian, who looks out to the window, just saying, Doctor. And it just turns around and there's that Sensorite at the window. It's very creepy.
Yeah.
Considering the rest of the Sensorites is a bit underwhelming, especially the second half, just to see that shot of it at the window was very... I liked that. It was very good.
And I think with it being black and white does add to the eeriness a bit towards it.
Yeah, I 100%. I agree completely.
Because I know they're on about wanting to colorise some of the classics, but I honestly think they should just leave them be.
Well, I don't mind it because they're never going to replace the original. If they said we're going to get rid of all of it, we're going to colorise it and you'll never see it in black and white again. Number one, they can't do that anyway because we've all got them on DVD and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, I think if there was never an option to have them, always will have the original black and whites.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. I think some of the ones that people have done on YouTube and other fan efforts and stuff, some of them look really solid. And we've seen some of the John Pertwee stuff colorised because it was only found in black and... Well, not found, but it was only existing in black and white, but it was filmed in colour, so, nobody has an issue with that. And I think because it will never replace the originals, I don't really see why people would have a bit of a problem with it. Because you don't have to watch it in colour. The missing episode animations, do you watch them in black and white or in colour?
Whatever BritBox is playing them in.
Fair enough.
Quite a bit of the time. Some of the...
What do they have them in? Do they have the black and white ones or the colour ones?
I think it's black and white on BritBox.
Fair, because I've
Let us
watched...
know, just to double... I'll double check anyways, but if... Yeah.
Yeah, what do you choose for the animation? Because I've watched some of them... If the story is completely missing, I'll watch it in colour. Like Fury from the Deep, I watch it in colour.
But if there's parts in black and white...
But I can't go from... when I watch the Faceless ones, I tried watching the thing in colour and then the surviving episodes. But when you go from a 4:3 black and white moving image to a 16:9 colour animated thing, it's quite jarring.
Yeah.
So I sort of try to make them match as much as possible. But stuff like Galaxy 4 as well, that's another one I watched in black and white because there's that surviving third episode. I'm currently making my way through Abominable Snowmen. It's very good.
Fair.
And then I've seen all of them now.
Yeah.
Anyway, tangents aside, once again, that brings us on to number 2.
Yes.
Patrick Troughton.
So Patrick Troughton, for me, it was War Games Part 10, right at the end of the whole thing, leading up to the regeneration of Patrick Troughton into John Pertwee. Setting up for the Spearheads in Space.
Yeah.
Is the first Pertwee episode. So for me, that was one that stood out. It's the first time they've been able to properly mess around with the regeneration in terms of the effects. Because the first regeneration was just a bright light and then John Pertwee's there. Patrick Troughton. It's just a bright light and then Patrick Troughton's there. And then this one's where they start like, okay, so now we know what we're doing. We can do a bit more, and that regeneration stands out just because of how like wacky and out there it kind of was.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the other ones, and New Who is you don't see the faces spinning around.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea. I think the idea that Doctor's appearance being forced to change as a punishment as well, I think sort of solidifies that idea that, you know, regeneration is not a pleasant experience. You know, especially when it's forced upon you. I think it's a shame that I don't think we're going to get more interpretive regenerations, you know, like it was in the classic series where every effect is different, you know, all right, there's some similarities in like the fade and things, but, you know, with new series, we've got that pretty standard orange, throw your arms and head back, orange energy and all that, which I like, don't get me wrong.
And the way they did it with Power of the Doctor was lovely as well. That was probably one of the nicer ones in New Who that I've seen, like in terms of effect.
I just think it would be nice to mix it up a bit every now and then. But yeah, no, War Games Part 10 is good because that story, you know, by this point, 10 weeks have gone by now since the start of this story. It's been a hell of a journey. There are some cliffhangers in that though that are great. I think the first one where the Doctor's calling the Time Lords, is it Part 8 or 9? I can't remember which way around they are. And they're sort of being slowed down just as he's putting the key in the lock, you know. And then there's that other one where he turns on Jamie and Zoe and the other characters trying to pretend that he's on, you know, the baddie's side. And we obviously don't know that he could be for all we know.
Yeah, no, so, I think that whole serial was done quite well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a lot, and as a regeneration story, it is up there with one of my favourites.
Yeah, and I think it's that open end to it as well. Like, you know, we don't see John Pertwee in that. We just see him fade into the distance, and it's just that horror, that thing of him spinning and that weird, trippy music. It's very 60s.
And then you just get the shot of the TARDIS back on Earth, and you just see this body fall out of it.
Yeah, but you don't see that. You think about people that saw that back in the day wouldn't have seen that shot.
No, because it would have been in colour. That just got added in.
But it's not even in the final episode.
It was on BritBox.
Really?
That's how it ended. As it starts, the music starts fading, coming in to end the show, and the title credits. You just see him drop as he gets put on Earth, and then that's where Spearhead and Space picks up. Is that it just recaps that one bit? So they obviously had it for the original one. Yeah, I think they might have edited it slightly.
They definitely did edit because I've seen that on DVD. I watched that on DVD, and it ends. You know, like the scene ends with spinning away because they hadn't. I don't think they've filmed anything yet with Pertwee. So
no, I don't think they would have.
How strange. So for my second Doctor pick, I've gone for the Mind Robber Part 1 because that's another very spinning. I think we've chosen quite trippy ones there. Yeah. Because the first episode of the Mind Robber is just bonkers anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the three regulars.
Just all of it is bonkers.
You know, there's that white space, and then there's the end of it where everything's going wrong and the TARDIS explodes, and you've got Jamie and Zoe clinging to the TARDIS, and as it spins around, and you've got the Doctor just there like a kebab.
Yeah.
Weirdest description I could have possibly chosen. But it's a really good one, and it's, again, the TARDIS spinning away into nothing, and, you know, you've got Zoe's horrific screaming. It's very... I mean, all of the cliffhangers, that's another one. See, all of the cliffhangers for Mind Robber are good, and I was very torn between choosing some from Fury from the Deep as well, because they are all good cliffhangers. There's a lot of strong cliffhangers in Troughton's era, actually.
Yeah. No, they wrote him really well,
yeah.
I think
if I wasn't going to pick that, there was that one in, I think it's episode 2 of Fury from the Deep, where Robson's talking about, you know, what's down there, and he's just that line of, like, it's down there in the pipeline, just waiting or something like that, and very scary stuff.
Yeah. No, I did enjoy the Mind Robber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very good. Third Doctor.
So, for me, John Pertwee, obviously third Doctor. For me, I cannot for the life of me remember what part it was, but it's Terror of the Autons. I'm assuming it was the first couple of parts, considering what happens in it. So, basically, the cliffhanger scene itself, there's this man just trying to crack on with his work and stuff, trying to help save the day or whatever, not quite aware of what's going on or which bits of plastic are affected by this, but suddenly the mannequins or the Autons behind him start moving and start getting ready to kill him, and then it just cuts before it can happen.
Just going to double check which episode. I'm fact checking you as you go along. Right, so as we've just discovered during recording, Tom has picked a scene that is definitely from Terror of the Autons. However, it's not a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's okay. He's getting old now. So to make up for it, we'll just jump in and do part 2 of Terror of the Autons, because that's one that everyone talks about, where the Doctor and Jo were escaping from the Autons and they're in a police car and they think everything is fine until the Doctor is like, "Can I see your pass?" That's a really horrible impression of John Pertwee. and he
Can I see your pass?
pulls well, not he pulls it. He doesn't grab
takes
his
it
face,
off.
but he sort of grabs him and his face falls off and it's just a blank face and Joe screams.
Yes,
and
I remember now.
yeah, it's quite an infamous one, that, because obviously it made the kiddies a bit scared of the coppers.
Yeah.
So not ideal.
So, yeah, it made kids scared of the police.
Yeah, and it's, that's not the message you want the sort of British Broadcasting Corporation to be.
No, the police are supposed to be there for you to go to speak to no matter what. And if you're scared, they're going to start trying to kill you and be an alien robot. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, so for my third Doctor choice, I chose The Ambassadors of Death, Part 2. I did have to double check which part it was because I get confused. It's the one where the recovery probe, they've got hold of it again. There's a recovery probe that's coming back from Mars, basically. I'm not trying to spoil anything, just giving a bit of context. And there's something a bit strange going on because as they're communicating in there, they're just getting one voice back from one of the astronauts and they're saying that they're not cleared for re-entry even though they stood right outside the pod. And the tension builds and the camera cuts to John Pertwee who starts just asking random questions, going, how many beans make 5? And they're still replying with, we're not cleared for re-entry. And the camera just slowly closes in on John Pertwee and then he just looks round to one of the others, Liz Shaw and the other scientist bloke, I can't remember his name, and just says, right, cut it open, and that's where the episode goes. And it's brilliant.
Nice.
Like, what else do you want from that? It's that slow movement of the camera, like I said, and then it just cuts and to the credits, and you're thinking, well, what is in there? What's gone wrong? Why have they cut the episode here? What could possibly be in there?
Oh, that's class. That is a very good choice.
It's a very strong one.
Yeah, very
that's
strong.
Stuck with me since I saw it when I was younger I think I saw it on UKT. This is before they colorized it as well, back when it was in black and white. Adding that mystery again. Anyway, your choice for the Fourth Doctor.
So, Fourth Doctor, I've done my research on this one. Deadly Assassin Part 3.
You're just really trying to upset the Merry Whitehouse fans, aren't you?
Why?
Honestly. You're picking ones that she complained about. You chose the police officer one, you didn't technically choose that. Now
I did choose that one, I just didn't choose that part.
Yeah. And now you're going for the one that really made Mary Whitehouse cry.
Well,
honestly,
it was a good episode.
It's a good cliffhanger, to be fair.
Really good cliffhanger. So the Doctor's basically just been taken control of and executed a big Time Lord man.
The president.
The president yeah, the president to normal folk, and I'm just special. So the Doctor's now trying to escape, and the Deadly Assassin has taken control of someone else to hunt him down because the Doctor knows what's going on and can foil the plans. After getting shot and set on fire, the assassin sent after the Doctor was in water, so fire got beat by water, and then decided he's going to drown the Doctor.
Yeah, but the part of that reveal is that the assassin is Chancellor Goth as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a case of, this assassin has me, it's just, oh my god, it's Chancellor Goth, and then he immediately starts fist-fighting the Doctor and then gives him a bath.
Yeah.
And it has that freeze frame as well with the Doctor just underwater, and it was left in my mind's eye for a week.
Dare I say, baptism by fire.
Just ruined my pun as well. Yeah, you get that, and of course, the infamous freeze frame as well at the end of the episode upset a lot of people. It was left in a child's mind, the eye of its mind, or whatever she said, for a whole week.
Yeah, but then they know that people know children are going to watch this show, and at that point they know what Doctor Who is.
It's the appeal of it.
I know.
It's meant to be put there in jeopardy. If the Doctor wasn't in jeopardy, then what's the point?
If he's not,
if he sorts everything out in 10 minutes, what's the point of watching?
Yeah, it's just going to get boring. If you don't think he's going to make it now and then, it adds a bit of interest and suspense. It's going to keep people coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good cliffhanger. It is a good one. The one that it didn't bother me as much as a child though, as the episode before, episode 2, because I remember seeing Deadly Assassin. I don't know if I saw the full story, if I just saw the cliffhangers out of context in, I don't know, cut shows or whatever they had back in the day. But I remember the one before where the Doctor's, gets his foot stuck in the railway tracks. There's a track switch and he yelps, and then there's trains coming and he can't get out. That one bothered me a lot more as a child. That's because I did used to live by railway tracks, to be fair. Not that I was ever playing on railway tracks, so I wasn't that bored.
No.
Don't play on railway tracks.
No, don't. It's not safe.
Yeah. That one always was a bit more... I found that one a bit more intense, but then I can see why people didn't like the third one. I think it's just because I was a confident swimmer.
Yeah, no, I was a good swimmer, so I was happy with that. I'd just swim away when he left. I'd be like, well, yeah, it's fine. I can hold my breath.
Yeah, Robert Holmes. Why do you think of that? My choice for the Fourth Doctor one is one of the ones that I was talking about that are a bit underappreciated in terms of cliffhangers. Only because it did genuinely creep me out. And not a lot of Doctor Who scared me when I was a kid, because I was aware of the fact that it was this long-running program and stuff. But there were things that did make me go, oh, hang on a minute, not sure about this. And one of those was the cliffhanger to part 1 of The Leisure Hive, which is where, the Doctor's looking for Romana. She sees him in that big display thing that they've got. That I can't remember exactly what it is. Their Deadly-Assassin. Leisure Hive doesn't often stay in my mind much, apart from that cliffhanger. And it's where, the Doctor's there, he starts moving, and then all of a sudden his arms and limbs come off, and he sort of like crash zooms in, and so he screams, and it's the credits. And I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't see any blood or guts or anything. It's just the idea of he's like, he's looking round, and then it's a cool effect for the time.
Yeah,
but scary.
Oh, it does make you want to go back and see what happens, though.
Well, eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
after I finish
older.
crying.
Yeah, when you get older.
Yeah, I'm fine with it now. By the way, just point out, like I'm sat here now, 22 years old. I'm all right with it. Doesn't scare me anymore.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Just making sure.
Going on to the 5th Doctor,
yes.
Peter Davidson.
Lots of good ones to choose from here. Lots of
really
rubbish ones as well.
Oh, yeah, it was a very up and down series, but Peter Davidson
do not
pulled them
slag
out.
off the 5th Doctor.
No.
Get out of my house.
Peter Davidson as the Doctor, the writing was very up and down, hit and miss, but he did very well with what he got.
Slander. I think the whole thing was great.
I'm not saying it's not. I just think the writing could have been better in some
episodes.
episodes.
Up and down.
I said the writing could be better in some episodes, but as a whole, really good series, like really good tenure as a Doctor. Really happy with his work. But the one cliffhanger that stood out for me was Caves of Androzani Part 3.
You mean you didn't pick Warriors of the Deep Part 1?
No.
It was brilliant.
It was
Face
brilliant.
it, Tegan. He's drowned. He's just fell in a swimming pool.
Yeah, well, I think Caves of Androzani stands out a bit more, considering...
Yeah. I knew you were going to pick that, to be fair.
It's one of my favourite stories.
You ask the man in the street what's your favourite Peter Davidson cliffhanger, they'll say Caves of... Well, no, they'll probably say Go Away, You Weirdo.
Yeah.
But they're most likely, if they're one of us, they'll say Caves of Androzani Part 3.
Yeah.
Because it's brilliant.
It's so good.
It's that direction from Graham Harper is so fresh and so new. It genuinely brings a bit of energy to the whole show. Yeah. And Davison is at the top of his game in that serial.
He's acted his heart out.
You can tell he's enjoying the script there. You can
really loved that story.
Heart and soul into that.
He's even said it's his favourite. It's the favourite story he did.
Yeah, it's been voted before as the best Doctor Who story ever at one point.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. So, for a bit of context, for those who haven't seen it, I implore you to go and watch the whole serial.
If you haven't watched Caves of Androzani, then you're missing out so much.
Yeah, it's so good.
You're a fake fan.
But
I make the rules.
So the Doctor's got spectrox toxemia, and he's now looking for the cure. He's been taken away by the military.
Yeah, the gun runners.
Yeah, the gun runners, and he's got control of the ship that they're on, flying him away to Androzani Major. If I remember rightly, or they're going back. They're heading back to Minor.
They were heading to. I can't remember if they were heading to Major or not, but the Doctor manages to turn around and go back to Minor, where he's left Perry.
Yeah, so he's gone back to try and get Perry to try and find the cure to save them both, because they're both suffering. But it ends. The ship's about to crash. The Doctor's taking control. He's about to get shot by one of the gun runners. Not
to mention the fact that his regeneration's already kicked in as well, because you see that pattern when he's looking at the monitor.
Yeah, his regeneration is started.
He's having to hold. It's the first time we see him having to hold back a regeneration as well.
Yeah, because he wants to sort it out before.
Yeah.
And it's just done really well.
I just think everything about it is brilliant.
Yeah, it is incredible.
Caves of Androzani is one of those ones where everything, the writing, the acting, the direction, the music,
comes together so well.
It dovetails, and it is genuinely brilliant. There's people out there. I know some people think it's overrated. I think they're wrong. Dad, I'm sorry, but I do. But nobody can deny that cliffhanger is fantastic.
No, it is definitely. It'll probably be there in probably the top 10 of all time.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt.
I would be bold enough to say top 5.
Yeah.
No, maybe not in terms of scale, but just in the technical aspect of it,
in context of what's going on. Yeah. It's just brilliant.
My choice for Davison was a hard one because I think, like I said, he's got some great cliffhangers. I was tempted to go with Earthshock Part 1.
Yeah, that's really good.
I was tempted to go with Enlightenment Part 1. I was tempted to go with Caves of Androzani. There was another one that I had on my list of things which I've put away, which was probably not the best idea. But I went for Kinder Part 2. Kinder as well has some great cliffhangers, but Part 2 is brilliant. There's that... you've got Hindle slowly losing his mind, and the Doctor and Todd and I get confused because Todd is played by Nerys Hughes, and then there's an actor in it called Richard Todd who plays Sanders. So yeah, it's Todd, Sanders, and the Fifth Doctor, all in that sort of little box, and they've got this box, and the Doctor doesn't know what's in it, and as the bloke from the bill, whose name I've forgotten, is going more and more mad. He's going to open it, and it's each time the camera cuts, it gets closer and closer, until the Doctor, makes a good point of, all right, this could kill us, but so could he. So he opens a box. Todd screams. Cliffhanger crashes in. Brilliant. Yeah. Resolution, bit of a cop out, but in terms of an actual episode ending, you don't get much better than that.
No.
Unless it's Caves-of-Androzani Part 3.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Anyway, then, moving on to the Sixth Doctor.
Yes, Colin Baker.
Not a lot of standouts for me, at least on the telly. He does get some crackers in Big Finish, but the telly ones aren't great.
No, I did struggle for this one. Vengeance of Varos, which is mine. I think
that's cool.
Yeah,
I was originally going to go for that, but then I changed my mind because I thought you'd go put that anyway.
So it was part 1.
Yeah, well, this a lot of Colin Bakers are only 2 parts anyway because they're the double length episodes, and they're a mixed bag. There's, to be honest, there's only one I like from season 22 is Vengeance of Varos Part 1. I'm very sorry if you can hear my neighbours stomping upstairs.
Yeah,
you quite finished?
Yeah. Good, they're gone. That was scared them off. But no, it was a very good story. I thought Vengeance of Varos.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think that it's definitely the better ones of Colin's TV. It's not brilliant. It's got a good idea. I think it drags a lot in the second half. In the second part, it does, the pace sort of goes completely. The first half where they're walking around the punishment dome and the execution zones and all that, and it's dark. It's very twisted, and it's something I don't think you get away with on telly Doctor Who now.
No, but it ends with Baker going through that, going into that one bit. He gets closed off. He can't go back. And he has to go through this execution. Yeah. So, and
it's the thing. It's the idea that that he's not in a desert, but it's that accurate. It's made his body think that he's dehydrated and he's about to die.
Yeah.
It's quite a dark way, and the way it ends as well, where you've got you've got Syl directing. Well, you've got Martin Jarvis, the governor, directing it, and it says cut it now, and Syl laughs, and the credits kick in. It's very good.
It's done very well.
Yeah, it's very good. It sticks in the mind for sure. It was one of those ones. I think it was one of the first Colin ones I saw. That and the Two Doctors, and the Two Doctors cliffhangers aren't brilliant.
No.
So yeah, for my choice for the Sixth Doctor, I've gone for one from Trial of a Time Lord, which is a story not known for its cliffhanger quality.
No,
or quality in general.
Yeah, the story was a bit questionable,
but I am picking one of the cliffhangers that does work, because it's a lot of criticism for this story is that the cliffhangers all basically just end up on a close-up of Colin Baker pulling whatever facial expression the script's selling into. So I've gone for Mind Warp Part 8, which is Part 8, Part 4 of Mind Warp, the last one after. So the Doctor's realised Perry's been killed. He realises he's been pulled out of time just as he was about to get back to her and potentially save her. And he's quite ticked off, as he would be in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that a Doctor wouldn't be ticked off if his companion's going to get kaput.
But I think it's that dynamic of where you feel like this is where the trial dynamic would shift now, because the Doctor's, he's lost Perry.
Yeah.
He's been pulled out of time, and he knows that there's something more going on. And then we just go into Terror of the Vervoids, and, not much is said about it. You sort of get an opening couple of minutes where, they explain that he's had a couple of minutes to compose it. I think they even use the word compose himself, as if he's overreacting to the fact that Perry's been killed, which was a weird part.
Well, I mean, I might imagine the Time Lords would see the humans as more expendable than a Doctor would.
Well, yeah, it's still just a bit nasty, isn't it?
Oh, it ain't pleasant, no.
But yeah, no, that was my choice. I think Colin Baker gives a good performance in that, It's very, very believable, and I think we're all feeling along the same lines as him, because, and as well with Trial of a Time Lord, you've got that warmer partnership between the Doctor and Perry. Most of Mind Warp, the Doctor is frazzled in the brain, or pretending to be frazzled in the brain, or the Matrix is lying. Whichever one of those three it is, no one really knows.
No, I get you.
It's a good shout. So that leads us on to McCoy.
Sylvester McCoy, yeah.
Yes.
So I've gone for Dragonfire Part 1. just stands out with your comical value.
Have you genuinely picked that?
Yeah, generally I've picked that. It's great. I love it. It's so wacky.
I mean, I can't. He genuinely has as well. I wasn't expecting that.
So the original cliffhanger was supposed to be revealing the dragon and done. Episode done. But no, McCoy decided he had to climb down from a cliff, and it was only so far he could climb down himself before he'd have to try and get as far down by the umbrella, but alas falls short. And it cuts.
No,
and you get that brilliant scene that caused a lot of issues.
Well, no, he pulls about 9 facial expressions as he slides down the umbrella, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, right, I know that it's quite obviously a long drop, and like trying to perceive where the ledge would be and all that, but still, I wouldn't risk it just on my umbrella, thinking, yeah, I'm going to get down there.
This will hold. It's fine.
Yeah, well, no, it will hold, but then as you start to slip down anyway, and you think, hang on, I might have misjudged this a little bit.
You're probably thinking, if I fall from this height, I might not die, but if I fall a little bit lower, I probably might survive.
Well, from the look on his face, he's still going, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Messed up here. Something's not quite right here.
Yeah.
That's a unique choice. I'll give you that.
It stands out for me, and it's one of the best for me, but not for the right reasons.
Fair enough.
So that's why it's here.
Nothing more to add to that. So I chose Remembrance of the Daleks Part 1 because it was the first Doctor Who cliffhanger I ever remember. It's the first Doctor Who bit I ever remember. I always remember that. We talked about it in our very first video when we talked about how we got into Doctor Who. And I remember seeing the Dalek going up the stairs and Sylvester McCoy banging on the door. And it just worked. It's a really cool idea. And it's cool as well because it's the first time we see a Dalek go up the stairs. Finally getting rid of all those stupid jokes that people still make today for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, Dalek, tripod. Go up the stairs, it's fine.
Yeah.
Ooh, levitate.
It's the fact that they even go up the stairs. Like, it's the genius way out.
Yeah.
And it kind of is.
It was.
Until he starts flying upstairs and the Doctor's locked in. But, apart from that...
Yeah, up until then, it was genius.
Solid plan.
Brilliant.
A star for effort.
Not like they had great aim or anything.
No, yeah, that's very true.
Oh, less so in Eve of the Daleks, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not do that again.
Fish in a barrel.
So yeah, that's McCoy. There were some good ones as well. I think I was tempted to pick some from Curse of Fenric, but McCoy's another one where they're not the strongest.
No, they kind of tail off. Some of them are, but they tail off after Peter Davidson. I think a little bit. I think they set the bar a bit too high. With
I think it's because at that point they're focusing on writing the whole story rather than writing 4 or 3 25-minute chunks.
Yeah.
So they sort of have to go, oh, right, I've got to put an ending in here. Someone makes a vague threat towards the Doctor or companion or both.
Yeah.
Or monster reveal or something. So, yeah, for that one, it stands out. I was also going to put Battlefield Part 2 because it's like a real-life cliffhanger as well, where Sophie Aldred's nearly electrocuted in the set because the water spills everywhere.
Yeah.
But I sort of decided against that one because...
Slight risk to life, and yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
So, Paul McGann.
Yeah, Paul McGann. I don't have any for this because I haven't really listened to much of his Big Finish.
Shame.
I know, it's shameful. I'm starting to go through the War Master stuff, so...
Okay, fair.
I'm a little bit occupied. But Will, take us away.
I picked 2 because I knew he wouldn't.
Is he?
Yeah, so
he's the brains of the organisation.
There's lots of very good cliffhangers in Big Finish, because all right with Big Finish, I know when you see it on TV, the Doctor's never going to die, but when you have like something like Big Finish where you know the Doctor is not going to die, it does lessen the impact slightly. So that's why some of the cliffhangers are a bit more experimental. Some of them are generic, like "We will now kill you, Doctor." But
yeah.
Some of them are very, very interesting. Chimes of Midnight has a load of brilliant cliffhangers, specifically the one to Part 3, where the Doctor and Charlie just think, right, we're just going to get out of here. One of the rare occasions where the Doctor is like, you know what, I'm done. I don't like this. We're going. So they leave the spooky house, only to find that as the TARDIS dematerializes, the house starts to materialize around them again, and they realize that they've just taken the house with them.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. And my main pick, though, is for Embrace the Darkness Part 1, because this genuinely did freak me out a bit when I listened. And I was a bit older when I first listened to this, because I got into the audios a bit later on. So I listened to it in the dark, which is
clever,
called Embrace the Darkness, yeah, right? Not the best plan. So this is a story where all the light from this planet, any sort of light source just goes. So it mostly is set in pitch black, like pitch darkness. So Charlie escapes from the spaceship above, lands on the planet, meets the crew going, oh my god, can you not see me? There's light off my escape pod. And they're like, no, we can't see anything. Everything's been in darkness. And then the twist reveal and the final line of the episode is Charlie says, your eyes, you've lost your eyes. And the theme tune crashes in. I was sat in the dark. I was like, Yeah, I think I'll leave the rest of this till tomorrow. But it's a brilliant cliffhanger. It's a brilliant story. It's really claustrophobic. But that final line, the way India Fisher delivers it as well, and the image that it conjures up in your head of people's walking towards you, and the fact that they don't know that they've lost their eyes as well, is horrific. And
Yeah.
there's a lot more that gets revealed later on in the story. It's a very interesting, it subverts expectations a lot through the whole thing. But it was that first cliffhanger for me still remains one of the best, and it's still one of the earliest ones. I think it was one of the first 50 that Big Finish ever did. And think of all the stuff they put out now. You get like one new release every week. It was still relatively early days for them, and they knew how to blow it out of the park. And they really did with that cliffhanger. There's a lot of other cliffhangers as well, not just from McGann, but some of the other McGann ones. Example, the end of Neverland leading into Zagreus. Some of the cliffhangers later on as well are very well done. But that one for me is the one I'm going to pick for McGann.
Oh, that's fair. Eccleston.
Yeah, this is where it gets a bit tricky for choice now, because we've not got the whole era like you do with the classic series. Now we've got moving to the self-contained stories. So we've only really got 3 to choose from, really.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first. You go first, did.
Well, I was torn with quite a few of them.
Quite a few.
Well,
3.
with the 3. So there's a cliffhanger, Aliens in London.
Yep.
You've got The Empty Child.
Yep.
And you've got Bad Wolf.
Yep.
I went for Bad Wolf. They're all great. The Empty Child was right up there. That scared the hell out of me in that room at the end with Nancy in the dining room when he was just going around after her asking, "Are you my mummy?"
Yeah.
The Aliens in London one was a bit more comical because of the type of monster they were. I mean, farting aliens, it was hilarious.
If that was the Zygons, people wouldn't have any issue with that story.
No, I know.
Pull that story up just on the Slovene. If that was the Zygons or something, people wouldn't care.
No, the story was great. I really loved it. But no, Bad Wolf, when he's telling the Daleks no, and he's going to come and get Rhodes after she's been transported to the Dalek ship, and you realise, oh my Christ, there's a Dalek fleet now after having that reveal of the Daleks coming back in Dalek. Then it was great because it kind of left like, oh God, is he going to go on a mad one? Is he going to completely commit genocide again?
It's more of a cliffhanger for the Daleks than it is the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor's going in there like, he's determined, but the Daleks are like, oh, hang on a minute. And as well, we get that reveal that it's not just one Dalek, but the whole fleet, which we weren't aware of up until that point. We were still, thinking, that's it, they're all done. Obviously, it's not going to happen, it never is. But it was just interesting to subvert that a bit and go, right, it's not the Doctor that's going to be in danger leading into the last episode, it's the Daleks and what the Doctor is prepared to do, because we know that this Doctor is, or at this point at least we think that the Doctor's still quite battle-scarred and everything from the Time War. So to subvert that a bit...
Yeah, it was nice to make you think, oh, what's he going to do? And kind of make you have a bit of, like, fear for the Daleks, in a sense.
100%.
Because... it could have potentially gone to show, and it nearly did, if they went down that the wave. Delta wave, that's the one. If they went down the route and actually did the Delta wave, I think that would have put the Doctor in a much darker light.
Oh yeah.
So the payoff for that was actually a lot better than it potentially could have been. Then we're not going to know if they hit the Delta wave. It could have taken the Doctor down a much darker route. But then that would have alienated a lot of audience, I think.
So for my choice for Christopher Eccleston, I went for Aliens in London, just because of the fact that I remember how excited I was at the time, knowing how Doctor Who was back in the day, all through watching the DVDs and videos and UK Gold and all that, to see that we weren't actually going to finish the story here, we had to wait till next week, to find out. And we get like sort of 3 cliffhangers in one, because you get Harriet Jones and Rose with Margaret.
Yeah.
You get
Jackie and Mickey with the police officer.
Mickey with the police officer. Well, Jackie mostly in this first one, and then
God, she can scream.
Yeah, and then the Doctor with the main Slovene, the Prime Minister, and all the other scientists being electrocuted, and the Doctor.
Unit.
Yeah,
his first return to Unit as well for.
So it was nice to see them sort of combine sort of 3 cliffhangers into one, and it really did make me think, oh God, what are they going to do here? Like, I remember being as a child really excited, running around the house going, oh my God, it's a cliffhanger. Genuinely, that's an actual anecdote that happened because I was a really cool kid back in the day.
I would have paid to see that.
Honestly, my mother and father still recount that anecdote now, how I was so excited to run around the house because it's a cliffhanger. I got plenty of sunshine when I was younger. Anyway, moving on to David Tennant. I think these are some of the revival's best cliffhangers in here. I don't think there's many duds, to be honest. Trying to think.
No, there's not.
They're all quite, and each one tries to up the ante a bit more. Yeah. Especially the season finale ones.
Oh God, yeah, they're incredible.
Up the stakes each time. So which one did you go for in the end?
Well, in the end, I was torn between the two, but I know you've chosen one of my two, so I'm going to go with the Stolen Earth. Yeah. So it's the end. Well, the last the second to last episode of Tennant's third series. For the main series. 4. All of that. Series 4 and New Who.
Streamlining.
Oh, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the second to last episode of season 4 of New Who, and the Earth's been stolen. We know it's the Daleks. That revelation came very quickly.
Same with Davros as well.
Same with Davros. I was kind of upset they didn't hold out on Davros.
Nah, get him in it as much as possible.
Yeah, no, but then
for the last one.
No, rubbish. But I feel like the cliffhanger could have worked well with Davros as well.
What, better than the cliffhanger they actually had?
No, so
the biggest cliffhanger Doctor Who's ever done.
Yeah, no, this one I remember screaming at my TV and going absolutely mental, thinking how can they do this in the middle of a season? So what happens is the Doctor runs because he sees Rose, and they run to embrace each other, and just as you think they're gonna have that loving moment, Dalek shoots him.
Zap.
Zappity zap zap. And he gets carried back to the TARDIS, starts to regenerate, and then cuts mid-regeneration, which was
brilliant.
Fuming. Brilliantly written.
I remember that week because Doctor Who was over everything. It was over like Good Morning Britain or whatever it was back then, GMTV and BBC Breakfast, like the evening talk shows. It was everywhere because people were like, well, who's it going to be? And like people had asked David Tennant, he's going, I don't know.
Yeah,
and it's very clever that they didn't have a next time trailer for this episode, which is the first time they hadn't done it in the new series.
Yeah.
Barring for like the Christmas ones and things like that. But for the immediate next episode, it's the first time they hadn't had one because that would obviously give the surprise away.
Yeah.
And again, it's another one that does like the 3 mini cliffhangers in one because you've got Sarah Jane in the car. And then you've got Yanto and Gwen, so it brings in the 2 other shows as well.
Yeah, so
each show has its own cliffhanger. You've got Sarah Jane in the car with the Daleks. You've got Yanto and Gwen
in Torchwood Hub
saying, "I'm going down fighting like Owen and Tosh with the guns." And then the Doctor regenerates. Yeah, same.
That did touch a nerve.
I remember thinking that because I've always said if they could do a surprise regeneration, I know we kind of got on with Power of the Doctor because we didn't know it was a 50-50, but I think to do it in the middle of a story, have the Doctor die, and then regenerate into a new form, and then immediately have to solve the thing that's just killed them.
Yeah,
would be a really interesting way to take it. I thought that could have been done.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought we were going. That was the end. Of David Tennant.
I know you're still hoping we do, aren't you?
I still hope that one day they will do that.
It might be in the specials. It might be in the specials. You never know.
They could do. I mean, they could do that something, would be cool because we know that Ncuti's going to be in the specials. They could sort of regenerate David Tennant into Ncuti, and then Ncuti has to immediately solve the problem before having his own full introduction episode. But then that stuff we've seen with Ncuti could also be from the Christmas special we know we're getting this
year. This December.
I don't know what's going on.
In 11 months' time.
Jesus.
Exactly 11 months tomorrow.
So long away.
Not that I'm counting,
Yeah, no, we're fine. We're coping really well. Really, really well. I'm really
proud
of us.
Really.
We didn't just start this on a whim. And yeah, it's like I said, if he brings in the 3 shows, you've got and then that Big Jeopardy, it was everywhere. I think it had Doctor Who the following week had 15-odd million viewers or something, which is ridiculous because you never get that now with any show. Apart from the sports maybe.
No.
But even then.
Yeah, especially with teams fighting out of relegation, it's just. But it was solid. It really did work well, and the payoff the next episode. Spoiler: I'm assuming everyone watching this has seen season 4.
You're asking me like enough. I know.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
It's a Doctor Who channel.
The Doctor doesn't regenerate fully.
I imagine there's a few people that have seen Doctor Who watching this.
The Doctor siphons off.
Otherwise, get a life.
I'm talking. The Doctor siphons off the rest of his regeneration energy into his handy spare hand, which he just casually carries around with him in the TARDIS. As you do,
Yeah.
Things happen.
Do you remember, though, that people genuinely thought, the Doctor hasn't used up a regeneration because he didn't change? But
it still counted as a regeneration. They touched on that in Time of the Doctor.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If they hadn't have done that, then they've just solved the regeneration numbering thing forever.
Yeah.
Just lop a bit off next time, and there you go. You'll be fine.
Lop a bit off.
Yeah. But I just remember the people thinking, like, oh, that's not a regeneration. Well, it is.
Yeah, it counted.
Yeah.
And people forget the War Doctor sometimes as well.
Oh. I forget. No, I'm joking.
I was going to say I was about to slap you.
So for my choice, I chose Utopia. If you don't know me, you'll know that I think Utopia is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever made. It's severely... I mean, people don't think it's bad by any means, but I think it's another one of those ones where everything just comes together. Stay tuned for the War Master video, because I'm going to talk quite a bit about Utopia in that as well. But I think the cliffhanger is just brilliant, because again, you don't expect that to be a cliffhanger in episode 11, because you expect it to be a two-part finale. But then to finish that episode with the Doctor, Martha and Jack stranded, about to be lunch, the Master's back and in a new body with the Doctor's TARDIS, and they're at the literal end of the universe. I mean, it's kind of obvious with Jack's vortex manipulator, the Doctor would go and then be fine.
Oh yeah, but when you're caught up in the episode,
yeah, I think at this point I was still like, oh my god, it's the Master. The Master's back. Yeah. That's the main cliffhanger, really, because we know we're going to get out of it, but it's more like, oh dear.
I think at the time of viewing, the whole Master coming back kind of makes you think, how the hell are we going to get out of here? You forget almost Jack has that vortex manipulator for a bit, because you're there like, oh my gosh, it's the Master. Well,
I was thinking there, like, after you get over the Master thing, I thought, how on earth are they going to get back? And then immediately I was like, oh, Jack's vortex manipulator. But it's fine, because the Master's back.
Yeah, and John Sims, what a master he was.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah. Not as good as Derek Jacobi.
No.
Keep your eyes peeled for that
out of New Who? Probably
Derek Jacobi.
Oh, yeah.
I'll die on the hill. Derek Jacobi's the best Master that we've ever had.
War
New
Master.
Who. Even though he's only the Master for about 7 minutes on screen.
Yeah.
Still the best performance we've had. Not that to take the others.
No.
But it's typically how I like the Master. But we've talked about that loads now. Anyway, Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Mine is very early on. This is first series. It's the crash of the Byzantium.
Oh, Time of Angels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The first time I watched that, I didn't understand what was going on.
We were a bit young.
No, as in, like, I was genuinely just like, what's he done there? He shot the lights, so they're going to come for him. Like, what?
Yeah,
I remember
it's one you have to It was one on rewatching. It works really well.
Oh yeah, once I worked out what's happened, yeah, it's fine, it's great.
It's great. But so the Doctor shoots up at the crash ship, which has artificial gravity, which was still on board, which was still switched on.
Well,
anyways, it was always
the river has, that he boots up.
Yeah, so they shoot it, they jump, they land on the outside of the ship and cut through to get themselves safe as best they can, and running through the Byzantium. But it just ends with the Doctor monologuing, talking to the Angel for a bit.
Graham Norton.
And Graham Norton.
Do you remember that? When everyone kicked off about that. We didn't get that because we were on BBC Wales, so we didn't see Graham Norton pop up at the bottom. But lots of people across England saw a little Graham Norton thing, spoiling the surprise it was a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Which, if you read the Radio Times like a real Doctor Who fan, you'd know it was a cliffhanger. God.
Yeah, God.
But yeah, I remember everyone being quite up in arms about that. Graham Norton ruins Doctor Who and all that.
Yeah, well,
which is only the second time he's done that by that point. Yeah, my Matt Smith choice is also from Series 5. It's the Pandorica opens, because I didn't really... I felt like a lot of Matt Smith's cliffhangers weren't that exciting. I thought the River Song reveal was alright, but a bit predictable. And there's not many others that spring to mind, really, apart from his two-parters in the first series. Of his first series, anyway. But I thought the Pandorica opens works because it's the scale. It's the way that Amy's been shot, but Rory's come back remembering... No, Rory's, like, going away and becoming an Auton. Amy's just starting to remember who he was. Gets blasted. River's stuck in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS is exploding. The Doctor's putting the Pandorica with the twist that the Pandorica is for him. It's not... There's not something going in. It's him... It's not something coming out of it. It's him going into it. I think it's that three-pronged cliffhanger approach again, which works really well. And it's the end bit where the universe is now dying, and you just see the stars fade out, and it's just the Earth, and just as the Earth fades out, it goes completely silent. And there's a couple of seconds of silence that feel like forever, and then the credits kick in, and mwah.
Yeah, it was really well done. Moving on to Capaldi and his lovely reign as a Doctor.
Yeah, quite a lot of cliffhangers in there, especially with Series 9 being mostly two-parters as well.
Yeah, no, it turned out really well. Apart that 3-part... no. It started off okay-ish. You don't like The Witch is Familiar.
I don't like Series 8 and 9, to be perfectly honest with
you.
I
like the ending
bar
of
the
Season
occasional
9.
episode.
The last 3 episodes of Series 9 I really like.
You even like Hellbent?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I did like Hellbent. It was...
Hashtag Tom's Hot Takes.
Yeah. But for my cliffhanger, it was going to be Heaven Sent. So you've got the whole episode of Capaldi just monologuing to himself the entire time, and it really does work well.
Yeah.
It's a really great piece of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the few episodes of Capaldi's first 2 series that I do like, and by few I mean like 2 or 3.
And he ends up spending, I think it was 44 billion years in the confession dial.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
It's that repeated thing of the reveal of it's a time loop. It's not him travelling further. We see that the events we've seen have happened lots and times before, and many times afterwards. And each time he gets 1 or 2 punches more into the Asbantium wall.
Yeah.
And it takes you really feel like the time is passing constantly, going back around and around and around and around, until he finally cracks the wall.
Through, and he's back in his home planet Gallifrey.
Yeah, that's a great shot though, isn't it? Where he sort of leans down to the young boy and says, "Go to the city, tell him I'm here."
Yeah.
And then talks about the hybrid, and then it's as he sort of does it, turns into that big like establishing shot of the Citadel.
Yeah. Oh, it's a really, really nice shot.
Rachel Talalay did some brilliant work on Doctor Who. I'm glad she's back.
Yeah.
To be fair.
No, it's going to be good to see what she can do now.
Yeah, very good director. But I think that whole episode is pretty decent as an understatement. But the cliffhanger especially is brilliant. I remember at the time I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that."
No, it was really good.
Because by that point, the whole thing with Gallifrey, you think has been sort of, you had the thing with Series 8 where Missy gives him the coordinates and it's not there, and you think, "Oh, it's probably all done now, isn't it?" And then it
just
boom,
snap back into reality.
Back. Oh, all right, Eminem.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
I'm going to remix that one day when I'm bored. Yeah, so I chose... What did I choose? I chose the end of Series 10. As I said, it's the best Moffat finale.
Yeah.
It's Capaldi's best episodes. The finale of... I think it was spoiled by the fact that we knew, at the end of World Enough in Time, we knew that Johnson was going to be in it because it had been leaked. Then they had to announce it. And I think if they'd have just kept it, even if they... when we see things get leaked and rumoured a lot, and I think if you just leave it without confirming it, there's still a bit of speculation there, because we remember when we watched Power of the Doctor and we thought there might be some old Doctors in it, but it's not. And even though we had those ideas that they could still be there, it was still a big shock to see. So when obviously that we see that Razor is actually John Master, and just as we think Missy's actually fully redeemed herself, there's that angel on her shoulder. Bill is turned into a Cyberman.
Yeah,
the Doctor misses her. I think there's that line as well, like where the Doctor's travelling obviously because he's moving slower
because he's
Bill.
closer to the black hole.
Yeah. And he misses here by like 10 minutes or something in Bill's like floor time. Oh, gut-wrenching stuff.
Yeah, man, it was really good. It's probably my favourite Cyberman story.
My favourite of the new series for sure. Tied with the first one in Series 2. But it doesn't really feel like a Cyberman story as much. It's definitely more of a Master story.
Yeah. Because
it's not focused on the Cybermen as much, especially towards the second half. Because they just become the generic sort of Cybermen of the new series. They're just basically robots. You don't get that sort of thing. And apart from with Bill, and I do like the stuff with Bill, where she's flashing in and out. I do like the stuff with Bill where she's, we're seeing her as her, we're also seeing her as Cyber Bill.
Yeah, and she's just having a bit of an identity crisis.
But that cliffhanger as a whole, it was like the setup. It was like, okay. Shit getting serious.
Yeah, it's just like, how the hell is you going to save her now?
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I think the Doctor's properly been hopeless in the sense he can't save his companion. Other than Adric, maybe. Because he was a bit hopeless with his death to an extent.
Well, he did say that he gives that line about the console being damaged, which is why they can't get back to the ship, so...
Yeah.
We'll forgive him for that. And that brings us up to date now then with Jodie Whittaker. I don't know why I said that in a weird accent, but we'll roll with it.
It was a weird era. Yeah, but we've spoken enough on that.
Yeah, so we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm joking.
Why am I still
I had a full Piers Morgan moment then, didn't I?
Yeah,
I'm not doing this.
Off.
Bye. No, we are doing it.
Yeah, we are. Because there were some good cliffhangers in a series.
Yeah, there weren't many cliffhangers at all. There wasn't a lot of full two-parters, really.
No.
Obviously, we got the two-parters of Series 12 and then Flux as a whole.
My first one is Season 12, Spyfall Part 1.
It's a decent cliffhanger, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because you get the...
You've got them sat, flying on a plane with Agent O, who is very, very well portrayed by Sacha Dhawan. It gets revealed that O is the Master. The Master takes the Doctor away from the plane, leaving Graham, Yaz and Ryan stuck on this plane that is crashing and is...
Yeah, there's a bomb.
It is a bomb. Slight issue.
Three-pronged cliffhanger again.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Master reveal, the Doctor being taken, and then Grime riding yes. Just offended all of our Australian viewers, if we haven't, I have no idea. On a plane that's crashing because of the cockpit bomb.
Yeah. I feel it would have been better towards the end of the series, going into the Timeless Children thing, because the Master could take the Doctor away to Gallifrey. I feel it could have just been... I feel it could have just worked a lot better if it was a bit closer towards the end of the series, because that's when it started to pick up. You could have that big build to a massive finale.
I think establishing the Master and then having him pop up again is quite...
It's a good way of doing it.
Because then you haven't got it's another thing to balance, and if you're going to, if you establish that Master first before he gives his big PowerPoint presentation, it's a bit more... Because if you're going, this is the Master, and welcome to my TED Talk, which is essentially what they do anyway, but
yeah,
I think it just makes it a little bit more easier to grasp. I struggled to pick mine because I knew it was going to be from Flux. I sort of knew it was going to be between the Doctor turning into an angel and the Flux oncoming, and I decided to go, because I'm picking some of the ones that are a bit unappreciated, I went for the Halloween Apocalypse.
That was good.
It's we're not sure what's going to happen. We're not sure really what the Flux is. We can see it's doing damage, and we know that it's bad news. And there's also the music, I think, is brilliant in that scene. Jodie's reaction. You get close-ups on everyone, all of the key players. It cuts from the Doctor to Yaz, to Dan, to Vinda, to Swarm and Azure, to Diane, to Claire, to the Sontarans. There's a lot to process. You're thinking, okay, it really sets the scope of what's going to be an amazing series. And it is.
For the most part.
Till it isn't.
Episode 5.
Yeah. Talk about dropping the ball. Anyway, we've done all that. But it is a great cliffhanger. It's well done. It's well shot. It's well acted. It's well... I say it's well written because there's about 3 lines of dialogue in it. Well done, Chris. I said that like he's watching. Imagine if he is.
Chris, if you are watching, go check out... Stay tuned
for next week because you'll love it.
Yeah, stay tuned for next week. You'll love it. And go check out our review of your...
Don't watch that because we slated him all. It all just comes together really well, and it sets up the scope for a series that we were all very excited for because we all watched it together and we thought, it's all kicking off now.
Yeah,
what's going to happen?
It's finally being redeemed.
Yeah.
That was the kind of feel. It's like, okay, so two seasons to get your foot in and get an understanding, and every new writer coming in needs that time where it's going to be shaky, it's not going to be amazing. You need time to find your place and find what works for you as the showrunner.
22 episodes, probably a little bit too long.
Yeah, that is a bit of a stretch. It was a bit of a stretch. But we finally thought, wow, he's got it. He's nailed it on the head.
Just as he's leaving.
Yeah.
That's our picks then.
Yeah.
If you've got a longer video than you was expecting
it is. If you guys have any other picks or anything that we missed or anything you want to add, please let us know in the comments.
Yes.
And share, and subscribe, because we love you and it helps us out.
Yeah, and if you've got any thoughts about the War Master audio series from Big Finish, please let me know, because I would love to use some comments in the video, because I'm doing a big review and analysis of the whole series from the first box set up until the most recently released one, which I haven't got around to listening to yet, but I will when I get there. And then as it goes on as well in the future, we'll be doing it every 3 sets. I'm going to cover 3 sets of videos, so it'll be but it's quite an in-depth review, so it'll be a longer form, more scripted, edited, professional video. Not that we do professional.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
That's all right.
But yeah, if you've got any comments to that, let us know. Any cliffhangers we've missed, and yeah,
we'll see you soon.
Anything else you want us to cover? Give us ideas. We don't mind.
Yeah, we're happy to do anything, to be honest.
Yeah. But that's all from us this week. Thank you for staying with us for what's a bit of a longer video than usual.
Yeah, we appreciate this.
From the recording time on the laptop down there. Yeah, fair play. Right.
Have a lovely evening or day wherever you are. And goodbye.
I never know how to end these.
It was a very up and down series, but Peter Davidson pulled them off.
Slag off the fifth Doctor.
No.
Get out of my house.
No, Peter Davidson pulled them off. The writing was up and down, but the Peter
You just said Peter Davidson pulled them off.
Compose yourself, man.